It's a study that we did on a book that is called Our Daily Bread. It is this book was dictated by the Spirit Emmanuel, written by Francisco Cândido Xavier. And it's a study based on verses of the Gospel. So he takes, for each page, for each 1 page, 2 pages study, he brings one verse, and he then develops this study based on that. And this one is a chapter 15th of this book, and it's called Thoughts. Now, this book was written in 1950. So 1950, the knowledge in terms of scientific research that we had about our mind, the power of thoughts, was extremely limited compared to today, to what we know today. So amazingly, it's when we go back and we study and put this in perspective about the time that it was written and the way it was written, it has been the way science has been developing, has been confirming all these teachings that was brought to us about 60 some years ago, right? About almost 7 years ago. So he's going to tell us in that chapter that all the accomplishments of mankind is a result of our thoughts combined, of all the human beings. So if we imagine that everything that we see, everything that we touch, everything that we have here in our physical world, he's saying that it's all a result from the collective thoughts, right? Now, when we think about bringing it to our daily lives, how does things happen or materialize or are brought to life with us? So first of all, we think about it, right? Our desires. We wish for something, and depending on the evolution of the spirit, it could ask for a toy, for something bigger, for a bike, for a car, for a house, right? Not necessarily, we can all have these in a family, from our kids to us, but we can also think about our evolution, our spiritual evolution, how what we asked for changed throughout time, throughout our growth, right? And we'll tend to see that as we grow and as we evolve, whatever we ask for and whatever we desire is going to become more and more complex. Yes? No? So, but in terms of thinking about, we're going to take the example of the house. So we're going to first imagine, right? We wish for this house. We imagine ourselves sitting there, how it's going to look like, the colors of the walls, the size, how many bedrooms I need, how many bathrooms, and we're going to plan for it. And then we're going to hire somebody to build it. Yes or no? Somebody has to have their plans. So all this is happening in our thoughts world, right? So now this person is going to translate all my desires of the size of the house, the lot, where it's going to be, into a plan, right? And it's going to show me today in the computer the size of the house. It's going to be 1 story, 2 story, doesn't matter. Show us the details, the size of each room, right? Depending on how many bedrooms I need, if I need a garage or not, how many kids I have, until I get the lot, and then I'm going to get in front of that empty place and see my house there. I already know how it's going to look like in the computer. I already chose the colors. Everything is still all in my mind, all in my thoughts. in how many people's thoughts this house has already been, right? So the person who's going to build, the electrician, the plumber, the person who's going to put the bricks together. So all these people already have my house in their minds, in their thoughts, until the moment that the key gets the day to get the keys, and it's there. The doors are there, the house is there. And basically it happens with everything that we can buy or we can think of. Now, if we think about the untouchable things, what are the things that I'm putting in my mind that I want today for myself? Do I want to invest in my knowledge? Do I want to become a person that is more patient? A person that is more loving? A person that is more worried about other people? So what are the thoughts that I'm feeding now myself that one day will become this reality, that I'm going to get the keys that I can hold on, right? Now, guiding these thoughts that we want to put in ourselves, that we want to plan for, Emmanuel is going to say that the gospel is a generous route for the mind's renewal towards superior spirituality. So he's giving us a guide, right? A model of lifestyle, thoughts, actions, and behaviors for us to follow. In turn, we can get these benefits that we are looking for, the virtues that we can finally get or internalize in ourselves, right? We are getting to the age of the spirit. We are leaving the material world. We are not anymore worried about so much about our material side. We are starting to notice that there is something more, that the moment that I leave this place, there will be something else. There will be another life. The life goes on. So what am I preparing for that, right? And once I come back, I'd rather have planet Earth is still in a place that we can survive. So we are now taking care of the planet with much more responsibility, right? We have our green people, we have our green plans, we have our next step for the planet as well. Right? And then he's going to continue that we have to go from these gray thoughts to our colorful side. How do we do that? We have to renovate. We have to change. And here we call it, some of us call it inner reform, some of us call it transformation, some of us call it evolution, some of us call it growth. We have to grow up, right? As spirits. Now, he's going to say also that it's not that easy to change our thoughts, to renovate our thoughts. It demands renunciation. It demands self-domination. And these are qualities that require hard work and heartfelt sacrifice. So, thinking about hard work, we're going to have to change a lot of habits that we have, first of all, right? In order to change our thoughts, in order to transform ourselves. There's a lot of things that we're keeping doing in the automatic. It's just there. We don't even notice. It's not even in our radar. We don't even see us doing it, notice us doing it, and we are. Some of us are still dealing with prejudice, with anger, with lacks. We think that we are lacking something, or we think that we are lacking somebody. Or sometimes we feel that we are not complete. We are not forgiving. Right? So all these transformations need to happen in order for us to change. Now, he says that many people will change the way they talk, their verbal expressions. And then we think that we have reformed ourselves just because we are using new words, we are using a softer voice, or we are just saying it in a different form, in a less rude form maybe, or a more educated way of being still prejudiced, right? Judging that we reform our thoughts, but as life goes around, life brings us back all these opportunities to test if we learn the lesson. Yes or no? So all of a sudden, we are going in this spiral evolution where life brings us to situations, people, or feelings that were very similar to the ones that we had last time, right? So whatever is that we are practicing, our patience, it's going to come something that is going to test our patience, right? It's going to take us out of this peace. It could be a relationship, something that I have at home with my brother, and then this same personality repeats itself once I get married, once I find a job, my boss, my son, and these things keep repeating itself to see if have you really transformed yourself. So as these redeeming circumstances start repeating itself, right? The disturbances, the way we react, the way we answer, the way we behave, are what? Completely transformed? No, they just have a softer voice. But whatever I do, it's still there. The obstacles are inside, not outside. Right? So as life starts repeating itself, we start noticing, oh, I did that again. But I knew that I shouldn't do that. So we need another experience to see if we learn, to see if we can react in a different form, to see if I can respond in a transformed way, right? But keep in mind, God is love and mercy. So we're going to have as many opportunities as we need until we grow. It's not going to be from one day to another. It will take some time to get that stone over the top, right? We're going to have to carry some of these a few times, a few mountains that we're going to have to get to the top, but we'll get there. Now, he's going to say that to think is create. And we thought with the example of the house that it's true, right? We think, we create whatever we thought. Now, it may not manifest itself all of a sudden. Okay, I think tomorrow I'm going to have the house ready. It took it took a lot of planning. It took a lot of people. It took a lot of work for that to happen, right? Now, in our mind, with our thoughts, we have things that we should continue, we should invest in, we should keep, and it should come out to life. And there are other things that we should control, right? We should control our anger. We should control my selfishness, my pride, right? So the thoughts that bring me to this other side, I'm going to have to change the factor, change it to the other side, adjust the volume sometimes, and continue transforming. But it has to be brought to our attention that some of these thoughts, I should control not to repeat them. If I don't bring it to my attention, if I just keep going on the automatic, I'll keep my days, and life is gonna keep giving these opportunities, and we're going to keep doing the same things, answering the same way without even noticing. Right? So sometimes it takes lifetimes, which is okay. But if we think that today, with all the research that we have, the brain doesn't know if it's real or not, if the thought is real or not. So if I eat a chocolate and I go into an MRI machine and they do an image of my brain while I'm eating the chocolate, some of the areas will light up, right? Because I love chocolate. It's something that I enjoy very much. So I'm there lying down, eating my chocolate, having a lot of fun. If I go back the next day and they tell me, do you remember that you were eating chocolate yesterday? And I'm going to say, yes, of course. I'm going to get another one. And they're going to say, no. But you're just going to imagine that you're eating that chocolate. The same areas of my brain will light up as if I was eating the chocolate. So my brain doesn't know if it's real or not. You see the danger, or you see the power, or the beauty, right? Now, if I think that there is a lion, and a few centuries ago, there could be a lion running after me. I could be living in a place where there were predators that were trying to devour me. So if I think that this lion is coming after me, and it's real, what's going to happen to my body? All the blood is going to go to the legs for me to run, the arms for me to fight, to be able to fight, right? If I have a bacterial infection, am I going to be worried about the bacteria? No, because if the lion eats me, the bacteria is going to be his problem, not mine, right? So my immune system will shut down. All my cells I'm made of trillions of cells, so I have thousands of cells being replaced every day. While I'm this stress mode, trying to flee from the lion, am I worried about replenishing the cells? My skin, the gut line? No. So my replenishing growth mode shuts down. My brain, is it thinking about growth, learning, being good, being generous? No. All the blood will be concentrated on the primitive brain, worried about flight or fight. But a few centuries ago, the lion was okay, I ran, I was able to run away from it. I'm safe, okay, all the stress is gone, I go back to normal, right? What if nowadays your brain thinks that the lion is still behind you, and it doesn't know the difference? It doesn't know that it's your imagination. And you are in constant fear, stress. What is happening to us? Our immune system is shutting down. Our growth system is shutting down. We are growing older faster. We are not thinking clearly with our brain that is supposed to be thinking about the higher, the superior spirituality. No, I'm in fear that a bomb will come, that an airplane is going to hit us. And all this turns into, one day, if we keep going this way, it turns into diseases, illness in our body. Good to know. Good to pay attention on what we are afraid of or we are thinking of. or what our thoughts are creating in our daily lives, right? If it, to think is to create. So we are constantly, all the time in this universe, we are sending and receiving waves. Thoughts are electromagnetic waves, right? Like TV, like radio, like cell phones. So these waves are on the air, carrying data, carrying images, carrying information. We all have our own receptors. Which channel is your TV tuned on? Because the waves are there, we are receiving whatever channel we are tuned on, right? And whatever I send, usually, it shows the station I'm tuned on. Now I wanted to show some of this in action today. Some of the things that science is bringing to us based on this fact that the mind sends waves. So if I can have Juan, can you turn off the lights for me, please? I just wanted to show you a movie. I'm sorry.
Depending on what electrode they stimulate on, there are different sensations I can feel across different points on my hand. So sometimes it's pressure, sometimes it's just a tingle, warmth. The first time it was really cool. It's kind of like, did that really just happen? Now it's just second nature. When I was 18, I was in a car accident and broke my neck. So now I'm a C5 quadriplegic. When I was in the hospital in Pittsburgh, they put me on a research registry. So they gave me a call and were like, hey, we think you might be interested in this. And I was like, yeah, robots are cool, so.
Nathan first volunteered for surgery, so he had to go in and have neurosurgery and spend a week in the hospital. After he recovered from the neurosurgery, he's pretty much been coming here 3 times a week. He spends 4 or 5 hours here each time he comes.
He has been implanted with microelectrode arrays in his motor and somatosensory cortex. You can see that we're recording neural signals from the motor cortex, and we are decoding these signals so that you can control a robotic arm. Essentially, he thinks about moving his arm, moving his hand, and so different neurons will be more or less active as he thinks about moving in different directions. And as we record from a whole population of those neurons, we can essentially decode which direction he's thinking about, whether he's thinking about opening or closing the hand, moving his wrist, and turn that into a control signal for the robot.
He wants to help other people. Everybody in the room who's testing Nathan, everybody who's been involved in this project has as a goal to cure paralysis in one form or another. From the very beginning, he said, you know, if no one does this, then the work won't advance.
I hope that when people have a traumatic injury, that they don't feel like their lives are ruined, that one day there will be cures for things like spinal cord injury. If you have lost a limb, you can get one that's maybe even better than the one you had before.
Interesting, right? Juan, can you turn on the lights for me, please? Thank you. So all these development prosthetics and health controlling things with our objects with our minds. It's real. It's here, right? But as Emmanuel said, those who will not seek this higher knowledge and exert the willingness to prevail in fierce circumstances will, of course, suffer the imposition of their environment, right? And we will keep calling it destiny, saying that God is directing my life. Right? And so he brings here, this is the verse that he starts the chapter with. It is from Paul, the apostle, and it's a letter for his epistle to the Philippians. And he says, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, and whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Right? So focus on what is positive, focus on what's right, focus on what we can do to solve the problems. Guess making the right questions is halfway to solve the problems, right? And many times when life happens to us, the first questions we ask is, God, why me now? Right? So maybe that's not the questions that we should be asking. We should be asking, okay, so what do you want me to do, as Paul taught us? Okay? So that was it. My friends, thank you so much for listening. Much peace and a good night to all of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And